Hello, this is Roland. Welcome. Today I want to talk about the Lord's Supper a little bit. The Lord's Supper is very special, and I want to talk to you about it. This morning, I was working on my book, which is almost ready, my new book, and it's called A Taste of Eternity. It's a beautiful book. And I was talking about food, and I said that food is a big problem for everyone. Not just for people who have food issues, but everyone. And here's the reason. For a lot of people, food is a substitute for love. And our food issues go all the way back to childhood. When we were little children, all of us maybe, with very few exceptions, our father wasn't there for us. A lot of people say, my father wasn't there for me. And that's obvious today because in a large percentage of homes, father's not even there. He's gone. Okay? So he's not there physically. Sometimes he's nearby, and he maintains a relationship with the kids, which is good. But sometimes not even that. But something has gone wrong. But even when I was a kid, you mostly had two-parent families, and father was there. And for the most part, father was decent. He didn't gamble. He didn't drink. He went to work. He came home. He brought home a paycheck. He mowed the grass, washed the car. Sometimes he would work in the garage. He was there. He was decent guy. Most of the fathers that I knew when I was a kid, that's the way they were. They were decent. But something was still wrong. Many of their wives were still unhappy. So these fathers were missing something. They were missing a rapport with the Heavenly Father. And because of that, they were not bonded to within. They didn't have a ground of being within from which they received their motivation and their wisdom and their love and their virtue. Instead, they were outward directed. And most men are women-centered. Most men are women-centered. Because they look to the woman to support, he looks to the woman to support his ego, to make him feel like a man. Okay? He looks for someone maybe like his mother, who supported his ego when he was a little kid, and who supported his father's ego. And so men look to women as their God. Okay? And so they crave this ego support. Well, it should be the other way around. It should be that father is the center of the family. And father has a special love, an agape love, an emotionless love, a corrective love, which comes from God. It comes through him. And when father has a bond with the Creator and has this emotionless love, this agape love, then it solves a multitude of issues. But when he doesn't have that, then he becomes more like a spoiled kid, a big kid. See, looking to his wife to make him feel like a man and comfort him and reassure him. See? And so men are very wobbly, very insecure, and they need the constant reinforcement. And the reason they do is because they are wobbly, they are insecure. See, they aren't stable, and because they don't have God as their center. So you can have a man who's a big macho football player, or a super businessman, or a big high-powered lawyer, or attorney, or or a doctor, or big businessman, big athlete, a real super man who, a guy who does construction work, or whatever you want to think of as being a man in worldly terms. Could be a politician with a lot of influence. All he is an animal standing up on his hind legs with an ego, pride, looking for ambitious and looking for support. And he looks for support from his wife to comfort and reassure him. And when his wife is not enough, then he looks to other women for support, or to other men for support, or to alcohol, or gambling, or drugs for support. You see? See how that works? And he craves it. It's like a fix. You can't live without it. We're talking, I'm building up to the topic of food, but I need to set the stage. I need you to understand that for most people, their father wasn't there for them. He wasn't the Moses, the George Washington of the family. Okay? Something was missing. So the family suffered, and the kids said, my father wasn't there for me. But as I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, even if he's not a drunken, drug-taking, violent person, even if he's a decent person, goes to work, comes home, watches television, see? Washes the car, like I said, and so on. If he doesn't have that bond within with his Creator, and something is missing, then that agape love won't come through him, that emotionless love. And so what that means is that the kids, so where do they look for love then? Well, they look to love from mom, to her kind of love, to her supportive love, her reassuring love, her ego-building love. See? And to the extensions of her, to teachers and doctors and school administrators, and then further extensions of them, organized church, entertainment, see, and then extensions of that, drugs, drug dealers, gang leaders, see, peers. So the kids are looking for love in all the wrong places, like the old song goes, the line in the old song. They're looking for love in all the wrong places. If they had that relationship with Father, if there was a good relationship with Father, that might be enough. See, it doesn't take a lot of Father. It doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. But most men don't even have that. But some of you can remember when you were a child, and for a moment, somewhere along the way, your father showed something special concern or a special understanding, a strength. You saw him stand up with courage, and you loved it. See, it would have been nice if he was that way all the time, instead of just 5 minutes out of a lifetime. But 5 minutes was all he could muster. Like I said, it doesn't take a lot of dad, so sometimes just a little bit is enough. But it ought to be more, really. Ought to be a lot more. So what does that mean then? The kids need love. So I mentioned all the places that kids look for love, and I mentioned mother as the first source. So then they look to her for her love. But her love nurtures, implants and nurtures, see, something of her and her beyond. See, instead of the Heavenly Father coming through the good earthly Father, it's something coming through the mother. It's a different kind of love, totally different. And it creates a totally different kind of person, and its own and special conflicts and so on. But one of the things which I haven't mentioned, I began talking at the very beginning of this video, but now I'm going to mention it. And the minute I mention it, now you'll put it together, what I've been talking about love. One of the big things that mother has to comfort with, to support with, to reassure with, is food. Mother's food. So food looms important in the lives of people whose father wasn't there for them. And so nurturing supportive, ego-supportive love and comfort and reassurance then becomes the only love they know, and one of the vehicles of it is food. And so therefore, now you see why people have food problems. They need the food, they crave the food. It's a substitute for love. See, it's a substitute, it becomes a substitute for real love. The real fatherly agape love. It should come through the Father. It's not him. It's from God through him. See? But if he doesn't have that, then they look for other love. Of course they look to boyfriends and girlfriends and, peers and so on, but we're focusing on food today. So now you see why people have a love-hate relationship with food. They crave and need the food, and it comforts them. When they eat, it's like they're loving themselves. Some people cook for themselves and they eat it, and it's like they're loving themselves. But then food creates problems, doesn't it? People begin to have problems with food. All you have to do is look around. You'll see. It's very evident. People are having food problems. Food associated with problems. See? So they hate the food. They hate the food that corrupts them. They hate the food that debilitates them, and that they crave, and that they're addicted to, and yet they need it, so they love it and hate it. See? Now you see the problem with food. Now the other thing about food is that it was present in the garden, which gives it even more power. Food is very powerful. And the subtlety through which the spirit of the world operates through food. See, food, the spirit of the world needs things to operate through. This, whatever you want to call it, the spirit of the world, the spirit of pride, whatever it is that opposes Father, the Heavenly Father, and his will, and to be humble before Father and wish to do his will and love the Father. Whatever it is that opposes that sort of thing, and whoever it is, that's we'll just call it the spirit of the world. Call it what you will, but it makes powerful use of food to operate through. See, and it makes use of the woman. So maybe you could say it was first the woman and then the food. So it's not the woman's fault, but she is used. See? Now remember in the Garden of Eden, Adam fell. He became prideful. He wanted to be prideful. He wanted to be a big man without God. He doubted God and listened to the words of Eve, which were coached by the serpent. And then he ate of the forbidden food, remember? See how food was involved? So from that moment on, food became a symbol. Food became the vehicle of trauma. And there's a memory of all that everyone has around the whole world. You could go to Vietnam or the Philippines or Norway or Sweden or Greece or Bolivia or Russia. You could go anywhere in the world. Japan. And it's the same thing. The families are the same. Weak father, absent father. See? Kids whose father wasn't there for them. The family suffers. And somehow food is part and part of this culture that's passed on as a substitute. See, culture is a substitute for civilization. Look at culture. Look at it. And see it for what it is. See? Anyway, so now you see how food is involved. So food is also hypnotic. Food, the act of eating food, the act of somehow being separated from God, and in that separation, taking comfort. What is the expression in the military? Never take aid and comfort from an enemy. It's a very dangerous thing to do. You never want to do that. Never take aid and comfort from the enemy. But you see, when the child is somehow separated from Father, he starts it by not having that special bond with the Creator. So because of his default, because of his absence, because of his not having that, there's a vacuum. And then somebody fills that vacuum. Mother fills the vacuum. Or others. See? But, see, the serpent can be very subtle, operating through people. The spirit of the world. See? Don't forget. And people are prideful. They like power. They like people to need them. See? They like for people to need them and to look to them, for them to be the God of that person. See? So when mom is angry at dad, she's angry for the reason that the kids are. He's not there for her. She feels she needs him to, she needs that love from him also, where he sees her as a person, not as an object of use. And he becomes more fatherly and stops using her to support his ego, stops calling up the hell in her to support his pride, you see? Starts correcting the wrong, the naughtiness, the error, her dark side. He gently jousts with her dark side. For her sake. See, she's like the princess in the tower. And she's looking out the window, and there's the knight, the good knight, the prince, see, her bow. And he's fighting the evil, bad person. And whoever wins, her destiny is sealed, you see. And all she can do is wait with bated breath to see if the knight wins, if good conquers evil. So the good father, the good husband, with this special love, he overcomes. See, Christ said, "Overcome evil with good." See, he said, "Resist not evil." In other words, resent not evil. Overcome evil with good. Well, it's not that the woman is evil, but something can operate through her, especially when she's resentful. So like I said, if a lady resents her husband, then the kids look to her for support and to love, then even unconsciously. See, even if she's not doing it consciously, the fact that she comforts them in their separation from her husband, from their father, that she offers any comfort in that direction, it sets them up to accept comfort from something other than what should come through the Father. See? So now you see the subtlety of food, and how every time you eat, see, so people eat to deny. People eat to deny, they work to deny, they drink to deny. People do everything to deny. To deny what? To deny the truth. To deny the fact that they're prideful, that they're not living properly, that they haven't found a purpose for their existence, that they turn their back upon what is right, and that they're selfish. They put self-interest first, and don't stand for principle, and are cowardly, and they're appeasers. All of these things, people don't want to see that. So they eat to deny. And eating is one of the easiest things to deny with, because it's perfectly natural. See how subtle the serpent was? See, he could have used other things. He could have used baseball equipment, or something, I mean, just totally, you see what I mean? But he was very subtle. He operated through a woman and through food, knowing that henceforth all people would need the woman as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a helpmate, you see? And would need food. We have to eat. In our fallen condition, as we now live upon this earth, we have to eat to live. And so now you see that the message, the suggestion, the hypnotic effect, the trauma, they're all hidden in this thing that we need. food. See? So, people eat to deny. However, would it be possible to reverse? And then a lot of things go wrong through this separation from God. See, now how can you be restored to God? Well, it would have been nice, like I said, if your father was there for you and you had a good relationship with your father and you didn't resent him and you saw good in him. You saw it. And it was unmistakable. It was there. It was good. It was there, and you knew that it was there. You would have been okay. But since that undoubtedly didn't happen for most people, now you can begin you can easily reverse the effect, reverse your allegiance by simply now believing in the truth. Believing in the truth about your failing, and about the food, and about the serpent, and and also not resent your father. Maybe that's the most important of all. You can start with that. Don't resent your dad. Now that you've heard what I said, now you see no one had been there for him either. His father wasn't there for him. Nobody taught him these things. See, he didn't know. He thought that looking to the woman for love and giving Mother's Day cards and Valentine's Day cards and bringing chocolate and flowers and all of the, talk about love, which people don't know what love is at all. The world's idea of love, Hollywood's idea of love, and so forth is the opposite of love. So he didn't know any of that. So he just didn't know any better. He was suffering too. He saw his wife was angry at him and the kids were not doing so good sometimes, and he didn't understand. So have compassion on him. Don't feel sorry for him, but have compassion upon him, and don't resent him. Forgive, even as Christ said on the cross. He said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Forgive your father. He didn't know what he was doing. Okay. Plus, there was a lot against him. The whole world was against him. See. Now, forgive your father. Then you can find God's love within. And then the other thing, we're talking about food now, so I want to put a little extra touch on this just to take you toward some of the things beyond this. I wrote a book about this called Forbidden Food. Excellent book. And I also talk about food in my relationship books, like The Myths and Mysteries of Marriage, and I talk about food in my new book, which will soon be available at Amazon or from me, called A Taste of Eternity. Okay? So here's what I want to say. If you could, for example, if you got the little meditation that I have and you learn to be objective, you learn to stand back from thoughts and emotions and learn to become more centered and calm and a little bit distant to the things that used to pull you in all the time, that used to take you away from reality. See, one of them being food. If you learn to be a bit more objective, a little bit, and stand back a little bit, then you will be able to, with God's grace, begin to approach food with a different attitude. See, if you welcome truth, in other words, if you now want to know the truth, and you're willing to admit the truth, even if it shows that you're wrong, okay, you hated your dad, and you were phony with people, and you took drugs, and whatever else you did, okay, now you see it, you're sorry about those things, and you regret them, but you're not going to try to duck the truth anymore. You want to admit the truth. Even if you have to see your own wrong, you're willing to see it. Well, now you don't need to hide. Now there's no reason to deny truth anymore. You want the truth. See, that's the big change. You want the truth. So now you don't have to eat to deny. You don't have to drink to deny. And some of the first things that give you up will be the really gross things that you acquired most recently. I mean, in recent years, things like smoking and drugs, and see that there's a good chance they may just give you up because you won't need it. You'll be incompatible with them. You'll find yourself incompatible with phony friends too. Phony friends who, who are leading you down. See? But you'll also be able to look at food. Now, food is very subtle. Food and sex will be the very last things that you will totally master. But even from the beginning, you'll be able to eat with awareness. Maybe not always, but you'll begin to see the effect that food has on you. You'll see yourself drifting into the food and away from reality. And afterwards, you'll say, what's this all about? One minute I was aware, and the next minute the whole potato chip bag is gone and all the food's gone, and where was I? See? Like you were in a daydream. Okay? So you'll begin to see that. And the more you see, the more you'll have power over yourself. Okay? So when you eat with awareness, see what a difference that makes? Instead of eating to be unaware, instead of eating to deny, now you eat and hang on to some awareness. Okay? If you can hang on to some awareness, that's good. Do you see that the Lord's Supper reverses what happened in the Garden of Eden? Instead of being cursed, now the food is blessed. Instead of the food bringing oblivion, now the food brings awareness. If you eat remembering Christ, okay, remembering God, see? So it changes everything. It changes your relationship with food. It changes food effect on you. It reverses what happened in the garden. Okay? So now you see what the Lord's Supper, I just gave you a little touch, just a little promo to give you a hint as to what the Lord's Supper is. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know I certainly enjoyed making it. Lord willing, I'll see you later when I make my next video.